welcome to my channel. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. Story 1. So, this happened a few years ago, back when I was living in Minnesota. You know how the Hmong community is. We're always close, always looking out for each other. But there's also this thing where everyone has their own stories, their own beliefs, and you hear about stuff, but you don't really think it'll happen to you. Anyway, it started with this wedding. You know how Hmong weddings go. Big family gatherings, everyone dressed up, loud music, people laughing, and of course, way too much food. My cousin was getting married, and I had to go help set up. It was an all-day thing, and by the time everything was done, I was exhausted. But the wedding itself, man, it was wild. Dancing, drinking, people just having a good time. The night went on, and people started leaving, but some of us stuck around. You know how it is, guys sitting outside, just talking about random stuff. It was already late, maybe past midnight, and I was starting to feel kind of off. Like, you ever get that feeling where you know something's not right, but you can't put your finger on it? So I'm sitting there, and one of my uncles starts talking about ghosts. Typical old school Hmong stuff, right? He's telling us about how back in Laos, there were these spirits that followed people, and you had to be careful not to look at them or acknowledge them. If you did, they'd follow you forever. I laughed it off because, come on, we're in America. What's a ghost gonna do here? But then, my uncle got quiet. He looked at me and said, "You think they don't come here? You're wrong. They follow us everywhere. They don't care where we are." That stuck with me, you know. It was just the way he said it, like he wasn't joking. It made my skin crawl a little. Anyway, after the wedding, I had to drive home. I live about an hour away from where the wedding was, and the roads in that area are kind of rural. Lots of trees, barely any streetlights. I wasn't worried though. I've driven that road 100 times before, but this time, it felt different. About halfway through, I started feeling like I wasn't alone. I mean, I was the only car on the road, but it felt like, I don't know, like someone was watching me. I kept checking my mirrors, but there was nothing there, just darkness. Then I saw her. At first, it was just a shadow on the side of the road. I thought maybe it was a deer or something, so I slowed down. But as I got closer, I realized it wasn't an animal. It was a woman. She was standing there barefoot, wearing one of those old traditional Hmong dresses. Her hair was long and messy, covering most of her face. She wasn't moving, just standing there staring at me. I didn't stop. I mean, would you? I just kept driving, trying not to look at her, but I couldn't help it. In my rearview mirror, I swear I saw her step onto the road. My heart was racing, but I told myself it was nothing. Maybe someone was drunk or lost, right? Except, a few minutes later, I saw her again. This time, she was standing right in the middle of the road. I slammed on my brakes and honked, but she didn't move. She just stood there, her head tilted to the side, like she was listening for something. I don't even know why, but I rolled down my window and shouted, "Hey, are you okay?" Big mistake. She looked up at me, and I swear to God, her face, it was hard to describe what I was looking at. And then she smiled. Not a normal smile either. It was the most creepiest smile I've ever seen. I floored it. The whole way home, I couldn't stop shaking. I kept checking my mirrors, half expecting her to be sitting in the back seat or running alongside the car. But there was nothing. When I finally got home, I locked all the doors and windows. I didn't even bother turning on the lights. I just sat there in the dark, trying to calm down. That's when I heard it. At first, it was just a faint tapping on the window. I thought maybe it was the wind or a branch or something, but then it got louder. It wasn't random either, it was like someone was knocking. I didn't want to look, but I couldn't help myself. I pulled back the curtain just a little, and there she was. She was standing right outside, her face pressed up against the glass. She was smiling, that same awful smile. I don't even remember what happened after that. I think I must have passed out because when I woke up, it was morning and she was gone. I tried to tell my family about it, but nobody believed me. They said I was just tired or imagining things, but I know what I saw. Here's the thing though, a couple of weeks later, I found out that there was this old story about a woman who died on that road. They say she was on her way to a wedding when her car broke down, and she got hit by another car while she was walking for help. Ever since then, people have seen her, always wearing her traditional clothes, always looking for someone to help her. I haven't driven down that road since. Story 2. It all happened a few years ago. I was living in Fresno, California. You know how it is, a city full of people, but somehow you feel like you're the only one around when the streets get quiet at night. Back then, I used to hang out with my buddies late into the night. We'd chill, talk, and sometimes head out to the fields near the edge of town. It was peaceful, but also a bit creepy. There's something about open spaces at night that makes your skin crawl, like you're being watched. That night, it was just me and one friend. I'll call him Lee. We were at this spot we always go to, a small clearing surrounded by tall grass. It was one of those nights where the moon was bright enough to light everything up, but somehow the shadows looked even darker. You ever notice that? Like, the brighter the moon, the scarier the shadows get. Anyway, we were just sitting there, talking about random stuff, when Lee suddenly goes quiet. At first, I didn't think much of it. I was rambling on about something, but then I noticed he wasn't responding. His eyes were locked on something behind me. I laughed and said, "What, you see a ghost or something?" No joke, he didn't even blink. His face turned pale, like all the blood just drained out of him. That's when I started to get freaked out. I turned around slowly, and that's when I saw her. There was a woman standing at the edge of the clearing. She was far enough away that I couldn't see her face clearly, but I could tell something was off. She wasn't moving, just standing there, staring at us. Her clothes looked old, and she was wearing a traditional dress. And her hair? Long and messy, like it hadn't been brushed in years. I whispered to Lee, "Who the hell is that?" He didn't answer. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest, and my hands started to sweat. I kept telling myself it was just some random person walking through, but deep down, I knew that wasn't it. People don't just stand like that, you know? Perfectly still, like they're frozen. Then she started moving. It wasn't like normal walking. It was slow, like she was gliding instead of stepping. And the closer she got, the colder the air became. I swear I could see my breath, even though it wasn't that cold before. That's when I noticed her feet, or rather, the lack of them. She wasn't touching the ground. Lee finally snapped out of it and grabbed my arm. "We need to go," he muttered. His voice was shaky, and that scared me even more because, like I said, Lee never gets scared. We scrambled to our feet and started backing away, but the woman just kept coming closer. I could see her face now. It was pale, almost gray. Her mouth was slightly open, and it looked like she was trying to say something, but no sound came out. Lee turned and bolted, and I wasn't far behind him. We ran like our lives depended on it, which, looking back, maybe they did. The problem was, the tall grass made it hard to see where we were going. I tripped and fell, landing hard on my hands and knees. When I looked up, she was there, right in front of me. I froze. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. She bent down, her face inches from mine, and for the first time, I heard her voice. It wasn't a normal voice, though. It was like a whisper. She said one word. "Why?" I didn't know what she meant, and honestly, I didn't care. I just wanted to get out of there. Somehow, I managed to scramble to my feet and run. Lee was already ahead of me, yelling for me to hurry up. We didn't stop running until we reached the car. We jumped in, locked the doors, and sat there trying to catch our breath. Neither of us said a word for a long time. Finally, Lee broke the silence. "You saw her, right?" I just nodded. I didn't trust myself to speak. My mind was racing, trying to make sense of what just happened. Who was she? What did she want? And why did she ask me that? Why? That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face. I tried to convince myself it was just my imagination, but deep down, I knew it wasn't. Lee and I never went back to that spot. In fact, we stopped hanging out late at night altogether. I'd like to say I moved on, but the truth is, I still think about her. Sometimes, when I'm alone at night, I feel like she's watching me, waiting for me to answer her question. Why? Thank you for listening to this video. I'll see you in the next one.